So anyway, let's talk about your property. Or you want to
let's
tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like corporate guy,
Yeah.
doing all this for a bunch of other people.
Exactly.
I'm like, geez, why don't I do this for myself, right?
Yep. So I started, my whole career has been in property management. I was like, worked my way up the ladder. I wanted to get the big corporate office, corner office. I got it. I'm like, I've made it. At some point, the owners are going to make me a partner. And it only took me about 30 years to realize that doesn't happen. So I'm a slow learner.
Isn't it funny when you think you work for the corporation, they're going to bless you, they're going to make me a partner, they're going to see how good I am at my job, and never do it.
Yeah. So I saw all these owners that were kind of like me, out of school, not rich. Suddenly they've got second homes, third homes, big boats. I'm like, man, these guys are making a lot of money. And I'm a slow learner. I'm not an Aggie, but I'm a slow learner. But anyway, so I finally, I would have. So I had a good friend that was in the business with me. We were in the apartment association together. He was president down in Houston. I was president of the association here. John
Ridgway?
Yeah.
Yeah, long-time member.
So we did the same thing. We worked, our company sold our portfolio, we got laid off, we worked, spent through our savings until we found our next job, and we kept doing this roller coaster. So he said, man, you've got to come to Lifestyles and just check it out. I'm like, yeah, it sounds like Amway or something. I was very, very reluctant. And then I finally did it, and I finally joined, and it retired me in 2.5 years.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, for me, it's really neat because he has like 30 years in the industry, knows way more about, this than me. He comes through the summer, he's like, I didn't know that. Yeah. So we only know what we know in our little lane. You understand? There's so many different
Right, because it took me 4 or 5 years to get where you were within, shorter period of time.
Yeah.
So you had to run and start. I didn't know anything about the business. So anyway.
So, yeah, I joined in 17. Same thing, I finally woke up and realized my 401k, my savings, my equity, and everything else. I finally did the math and went, this isn't going to get me there. The stocks went down in value and all of that stuff, so I came to the 2 that you taught. I was still skeptical, it sounds too good to be true. Ridgway was like, why aren't you joining? And it took me like another 2 months, 3 months. I finally joined. And then I thought, with my experience, I'm going to just go right into being a lead investor.
Right.
Because I didn't trust other people, and I was like, I know too much. I'll be in their business all the time, so I might as well do it myself.
Yep.
So I jumped right into being a lead investor, and I haven't looked back. And we've done 7 or 8 deals now, about $800 million in real estate since 2017.
Did you hear that? $800 million in real estate within a few years. Give a hand.
Couldn't have done that, obviously, without the passive investors that invested in the deals. So that was not my money, but that was learning how to do equity.
Real estate's a team sport, definitely.
Absolutely.
Cool. Absolutely. I like your comment about corporate ladder. I think there's a lot of people in this room that climb that corporate ladder and they get to the top and they realize it's leaning on the wrong building. It needs to be moved over somewhere else. But fortunately, you realized it before you got to the top.
Yeah.
And changed ladders.
Well, and I kept seeing, like I said, my owners making all of this money, and I always wondered what the secret sauce was, and I knew there must be some kind of tax benefits or something, but I just didn't understand that part of it, because as you said, I was in my lane doing what I did, doing it really well, but I kept thinking, well, they're going to keep giving me a piece of the pie. They were big at buying a bigger boat.
Oh, yeah?
So.
If you just work a little bit harder, I got a new yacht this year.
Yeah, right.
I'll take you out on it, maybe.
Yeah. I'll take you out to dinner.
Yeah.
So this year in August, we bought Creekside at North Beach, 224 units. It was built in 2003. All our stuff before was 1980s product, and through COVID with all the eviction moratoriums and all that other stuff, that's workforce housing. It got hard to get people to pay rent. We thought, let's go a little bit newer product, a little bit more professional clientele. It's just a lot less brain damage, to be honest with you.
And maintenance-wise?
So much easier.
Easier, right?
Yeah, because it's a 20-year-old property instead of a 40-year-old property, right?
God, isn't that wild? Do you think in 2003?
I had hair back then.
And you think 20?
That's
been 20 years?
John did, but,
Don't go there, right?
Yeah, I always say, that was back when I had long hair, now just long for hair.
Right.
It's crazy.
So this deal was interesting because I was a little, during the last year or two, reluctant to look at deals. This was a deal that was owned by Cortland. It was called Cortland at North Beach. And if you know Cortland, they're one of the big national companies. Their equity, their money is Blackstone.
Right.
So Blackstone bought a giant portfolio of properties. It wasn't doing what they needed it to do. So Cortland didn't know this because Cortland just put brand new roofs on it last year. They kept it really, really nice.
Very nice of them to do that for you.
It was. But then Blackstone came to them and said, you got to sell this portfolio. And they're like, we didn't want to sell this portfolio. So we got it for a really good price. They sold one 2 months later for $225,000 a door. We got ours for $193 a door. Cash out of pocket about 18 and a half.
Hold on, we got to slow you down. Everybody in this room doesn't have 18 million. You know, maybe me and him together could buy it by ourselves, but that's not what people have. You
Right.
understand? So you didn't do this by yourself. You had some partners in this deal?
Oh, yeah.
How many partners do you have,
I
approximately?
think in this one we have about 170.
So 170 different families invest in this deal. They're what's called passive investors. Where were those 170 families? Are they all right here in Dallas?
All
or-
over the nation, Hawaii, New York, Chicago, Phoenix, you name it.
So one thing we teach here at Lifestyles is live where you want to live, invest where it makes sense. So if your market isn't good for real estate, maybe you might want to go to Texas or, you know, it could be Oklahoma. It doesn't matter where it is. Invest where it makes more sense. Like if you live in a communist area like California, we're not going to invest there. Does it make sense? I just want to be realistic with y'all.
And I want to give a shout out to Lifestyles because before I joined Lifestyles, I was for the National Apartment Association, I was the PAC chairman, and I had to raise like
That's
million.
a political action committee.
I had to raise like $2 million a year. So anytime I was at an NAA event, people would see me and turn and go, oh, crud, there's
Yep,
Robert
hi.
and Lee.
Politician.
Yeah, but they were like, he's going to ask me for money. But I thought, oh, I can do this on my own. So Ridgeway was trying to get me to join. I'm like, no, I can go raise money on my own. Family, friends, they turned their back and left the room as fast as they could. So join Lifestyles. We raised on this deal over $18 million in 5 days.
See, so
Let me guess the difference between asking family and friends for money and asking people at Lifestyles. Education. They understand more about what you're doing with the money.
Right.
Everybody's on the same page.
right.
Yeah.
So I got a couple more questions for you because it's important for people listening for the first time. They don't understand how this investing works, which we'll really go into detail on this weekend. But of those investors, those are over 100 people invested. What was the lowest investor in this deal? Do you recall?
I always keep a tranche open for like brand new people to help them get started and going. So I think our lowest on this one was 20. It was either 20 or 25,000.
So yes, there's some people going to put in 200 grand, some people 100 grand. You know, if you have millions, you can put in bigger chunks. But what if your guy's starting out? So what we teach is, Dell really is big on this. We want to make sure when people are new and it's the firefighter or whatever, they don't have millions of dollars yet. Give them a shot at it too. So
Right.
his lowest investor in this deal happened to be $20,000. So does that make sense to everybody? And if the rate of return is rate of return. If it makes a 6% return, it doesn't matter if you put in 20 grand or $100,000, you'd make 6% on that amount. Everybody with me? So here's another thing. We talk about this thing called a passive investor. He's the guy running the deal. He's making all the decisions. He's doing all the work, and his staff and his team, you know, of doing that. As a passive, you do not do the work. You get a check once a quarter, once it's stabilized and running. What's that? ACH.
Yeah, it used to be a lot harder when
You
John
had to get
first
checks,
joined.
yeah.
You had to go out to the mailbox and you had to open that thing up and take the check out, the envelope, go to the bank, right? Drive through, put it in there. Now it just like shows up.
Yep.
It's like in your statement.
Ding while you're.
Well, it's easier on us as on the lead side because I kept having to go back to passives and go, hey, would you please cash your check?
Yes, yeah, they won't count you. They just sit there because they have stacked.
Right,
I know, I
right.
do that too. So another factor is this: a lot of people don't realize when you become passive, you are passive. Of those 100 and some people, how many of your investors in this deal? How many think actually went out physically to the property at one point? Of the 100.
Maybe 5.
So see that? That's the idea of passive. Do you want to be there every day? Of course not. Can you go see the asset? Of course. You get with your lead investor, you get a tour, whatever. That's fine. But that's the goal of being passive. You want to make money while you're sleeping.
Right.
So I just want to make sure new people understood that. Great. Okay, ready to move? Here we go.
So a really important thing on this one, and I think I may have a slide on it, but the reason that was interesting to us is because Blackstone would not let Cortland file evictions until January of this year, way past the eviction moratoriums other people
Wow.
had. So they had a huge delinquency problem. We I understand where Dale is coming from, where he's talking about look at the T12. This one, though, when you look at the T3, the last 3 months of income, when they actually evicted everybody, got the income up to where it should be, all we have to do on this deal is just collect the rent. And we'll meet, we're actually, after 2 months, we did our first distribution.
Wow.
So we didn't even wait till the first quarter.
See, that's not normal. Normally, it's going to take about 6 months at least. Yeah, give them a hand for the people that know what that means.
Yeah, everybody heard of Blackstone? Anybody know that? Anybody heard of ESG? Okay, they're the big driving force behind some of that.
So you're hearing a lot of words, if you're new, that are Greek. T2, T12, that means trailing 12. You don't need to know all that minutia. What I want you to do if you're new and listening for the first time, what it's got to be is, I always say, what's in it for me? If I put money in it, what kind of return? So there'll be certain slides we're going to show. That's what I want you to understand as a new person. How all the stuff is done, you'll learn that during the seminar. You don't need to know all that right now. You sit there and say, if I put money in, would this be a good idea for me and my family? That's how you should look at it if you're new. Okay? All right.
I mean, I don't know, to go through line by line on the slide or no.
I just have one question.
Yes, sir.
Typically, multifamily property this size, expenses are 50% of the income.
Yep, like 52, yeah.
And then, so we got that. And then OI is the other 50%. It's almost exact, right?
Is this Aggie math you're doing right now? What is
Aggie
it?
math, yeah. Well, hey, man, I'm a C- student. So, NTSU, yay, go. Whatever.
So the numbers that would stick out, if you're new guys, is look, the first year, 3%, but they end up making 5.9% by year 3. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Yeah, so 6%. And this will all be tax-free income, and I'll explain why this weekend it's all tax-free. That's their projections. All right.
So I mentioned a little bit, but this property is in far north Fort Worth. It's in the Keller School District, which is one of the best school districts in DFW. So that's very appealing to people. We talked about it's 2003 product, so there's a whole lot less maintenance. Cortland, the prior owner, maintained this property immaculately. Like I said, brand new roofs last year. They had just resurfaced the pool. I mean, they just put tons of money in the units are all granite countertops, all upgraded. All we have to do is just manage it and keep raising the rents. So we bought it, as I said, from a great management company. And I mentioned the eviction moratorium. So all we have to do is just continue to collect the rent.
Do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So let me explain to you what we're running into here. Why would they do that? People, you have to understand, the people that owned this before had a corporate mentality. And it's a large corporation. They have all these assets. They don't care if they're losing money over here or whatever. They're just going to write it off. It's not a big deal. But if you had your money invested, would you be mad at them for not putting out people that aren't paying? But that was the corporate mindset. It's I don't know how else to explain it.
Well, they didn't want the bad press.
Yeah, they don't want the bad press of kicking people out. So we're not going to run a property. We're going to run it the right way. If you pay, you stay. If you don't, you won't. Who likes that idea? I mean, nobody's get a free ride. That's the goal.
Well, and they had a lot of other properties that they could kind of water all this down.
That's what I'm saying. They can do that, yeah.
True.
But he got new roofs, and now you don't have to replace them until the next hailstorm,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
So this was just more of a management turn. It wasn't like a big fixer-upper. It was a pretty easy one that way. Good.
So these, I apologize, we're doing brand new pictures because we just, like I said, closed at the end of August. So these are a little blurry from the brochure, but this is the clubhouse. You can tell, it's like really modern, really good shape. That's looking out on the giant pool. They've got an amazing fitness center. We have an amazing fitness center. The property's just in great shape to begin with. So we've done a full exterior paint, redone the parking lots. The dog park, they did this expensive $70,000 upgrade, but it was empty. So we're improving the dog park. So we're doing like cosmetic fun stuff. Mm-hmm. It needed to be painted.
You're not changing any of this stuff, are you?
No.
I wouldn't think so.
You don't like the black and white stripes?
Come on.
That's like the old jail.
Wasting money.
These are, you can see the interiors of the apartments. They're
Beautiful.
really, really nice apartments. So it's 2003 product. We're competing against brand new construction because you can tell, they're just great units. They're really beautiful.
Well, they're like houses. And you're like $193 a door.
Yeah.
So basically getting a group of houses.
So, here's kind of our numbers. income currently. Year 1, you can see our cash-on-cash returns. Year 2, year 3, the only challenge we're having at the moment is, I call it concession contagion, is in the markets. It's driving me nuts is that you've got these brand new construction deals that are with 8 and 9% construction loans. So they're starting to do 2 and 3 months free rent.
Yeah, they're doing anything to fill it up because they're bleeding.
Exactly.
So they're just doing that just to get them in there.
So their rents are getting now down closer to our rents, which is a 2003 product. So this is where it's really critical to have good management, to have great online ratings. We're having people look at them, look at us, and lease with us. Right. Because we have better
Reputation.
management.
Yep. And there's
one thing I like is properties of this age, the landscaping is mature.
Oh, yeah.
Versus the new properties are kind of sterile.
Yep.
They don't really feel homey. So
That's a really good
one
point.
thing that I always,
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So projected, he's going to go up in returns over years. So he's being conservative, 3%, 4%, 6% over the next 3 years. But what you're going to learn this weekend, the way we evaluate apartment communities is the amount of income it produces is how we determine value. And I'm not going to go through all the minutia of that, but the more money it makes, the more it's worth. The more people will pay for it when you sell it. So our big bang for the buck is not the 3, 4, or 5%. It's by increasing the value when we sell or refinance. Okay?
So I think I mentioned that on how we're increasing the NOI. It's basically good management, renewing people at current market rates, just bringing everybody up, making people pay their rent. Our turnover ratio in our portfolio is about 40%, which is really critical. That's how many people are moving out. So we're not overly aggressive on lease renewals because it's when you have somebody move out, you've got vacancy loss, turnover costs, all of these costs that you can never recapture. So I'd rather increase somebody $100 than push them at $200 and create more vacancy.
And the reason this is so important, guys, in the industry nationally, typical turnover is about 50%. By going down to 40%, it's a much better number. Now, it's easy for everyone to look at this. Look at it like marriage. It's cheaper to keep her.
I'm not going to touch
So what do we call that? What do we call that turnover? Cash flow killer, because it does. It's a cash flow killer.
Yeah, it is a cash flow killer. Absolutely.
So we talked about a lot of the CapEx we've already done. The exterior paint, the dog park, parking lots. We power washed all the breezeways. They have door-to-door trash pickup, so you've got all the trash. It was nasty. New signage because it was a Cortland package, and we've got beautiful brand new signage. Right now we're doing the pool resurfacing, which we're doing an investor tour a week from tomorrow. So I'm like, please have this finished. And then we're talking about adding the smart locks, which can control your temperature, do all kinds of amazing things in the apartment. So,
you know the only problem with that is
what?
if you have any residents that are Aggies, they can't get in anymore.
That's true.
Yeah, you always have to be smarter than the equipment.
Well, that's
the problem.
That's part of the screening process too, though.
Yeah.
All right, so here's what I was talking about. This is a projected number. It doesn't mean he's selling in 3 years or refinancing. I don't know what your actual goal is. But by him being able to do this, and I'm going to dumb this down a little bit for the new folks, and then they'll go a little bit more into minutia for the people that are more experienced in the room. Their goal by raising the NOI, which is your net operating income over time, what's going to happen is it's going to increase the value enough that, let's say, you put $100,000 in the deal. You would get all your money back, which would be $100,000, and then on top of that, you would get an extra 70%. Who'd be okay with that? Give him a hand, because that's his goal.
And ideally on this one, we would love to refi in about year 3, year 4.
Okay.
Because there's tax advantages to that. It's basically tax-free
So let's
money.
say you get a 50% return if you did that.
Right.
I'm just saying. So the logic of that, there's different strategies they have, and his investors know going into the deal what his strategy is. We're just trying to keep it simple tonight. Let's say instead of the whole 70%, you would get 50% back, but you'd still own the property and still be making money. If they do what's called a cash out refinance, let's say they get 50% of their money back, because it's a loan, how much taxes they pay on it? 0. So they get 50% of their money back that they can put in another one of Robert's deals, who likes that idea as well. And each one of these little ones keeps building and building and building, just like in Monopoly. We're going to get him the little black top hat. Does that make sense to everybody?
We got a fixed rate loan on this deal so we can weather the current economic storms, let the economy come back, and then determine if we want to sell or if we want to refi.
And is yours assumable? Can you put a loan on top of it?
No.
Okay, it depends how it deals.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It has supplemental though. So
Yeah, we could do a supplemental.
That's
sure.
what-
Sure.
Okay, cool. That's my way of saying supplemental.
Got you.
Simple speak.
So how has Lifestyles changed, or how has my life changed since I joined Lifestyles? Significantly increased our investors' net worth, including myself.
Yeah.
What I really love is I've had 5 different passives when we sold a property said, you have retired me. So
Tell me that's not powerful. Slow that down a second.
that's the best feeling, ever, is like helping somebody else get there.
Yeah, it's great that he's making money, but someone who invests this deal saying, you retire me, I never have to work again. Is that not cool? Give him a hand for helping people out that way.
That's Lifestyles. That's not me, that's Lifestyles. That's if you follow the model. So, Don could say that, any lead could say that. Well, I appreciate your wife might not appreciate that I keep you retired.
More fabric behind mine.
There you go. It got me out of the rat race, and we bought 17 acres down in Waxahachie, south of here. So we have a beautiful house out on, and I get to call myself Farmer Bob now because we get the ag exemption for having someone else, just like the Lifestyles model. Someone else mows and cuts the hay.
See, you are not.
I am.
Yeah.
But
you
same.
got your tax exemption with hay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
In
you
which
got
I do
enough
none of the
acres.
work for, so I'm a gentleman
Right.
farmer. So.
And you sell it.
But driving back in the traffic today to come up here, I'm like, I did this every day, both ways.
Now you don't have to.
Now I never have to do that again. I'm not living check to check, like what I talked about when our portfolio sold. You're like, crud, I hope I have enough money to get to the next job. Don't have to worry about any of that stuff now. For me, one of the biggest things is I now control my time. I can go to the properties at 10 o'clock or whatever off rush hour times. More importantly, since I joined Lifestyles, my wife came down with breast cancer, and I've had the time to be able to spend with her and do what I needed to do for my family. So.
Powerful. Yeah.
And I've even made really good friends with all kinds of diverse people, Aggies included. But
I just wonder, how long did it take you to learn how to spell Waxahachie? I know, man.
fortunately, my mother and grandmother both grew up there.
Oh,
so
there
I
you go.
already
So
knew
you
that.
had a
But
head
no,
start.
anytime somebody says it, they go, Waxahachie? How do you? Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I have a question because some of the folks might be in the room. Are any of your investors in the room or in any of your deals? How about this? Well, look at them. I didn't even ask. They're already raising their hands. If you've been in any of his deals, raise your hands, guys. See, that's kudos. See, they're here to support you.
Thank y'all.
Now they're all saying, "Where's my check?"
Right.
You know,
And nobody threw anything, so thank you for that.
that's cool. Real people, real results. Love it.
So what's next? My short-term goals are get through the current down market and maximize the performance of the 2 deals we had. We had 7 deals, and we sold all of them perfectly, or hindsight being 2020 at the perfect time, right before the market kind of went down. Long-term goals is I want to keep buying deals and keep doing this because we feel like we're saving people's lives but in our residence with our customer service, but we also know what we're doing for our passives and ourselves financially. So we want to kind of keep it going for other people.
So what advice would you give to somebody who's newer? Maybe they're thinking of doing what you're doing, a career of maybe being a lead investor, or maybe somebody buying their own apartment. What advice would you give the new guys?
Don't wait as long as I did. Like I said, John Ridgway tried probably for 7 years to get me to join, and I kept like, John, leave me alone. He was kind of like me with people with the NAA PAC stuff. I almost see Ridgway and be like, oh God, he's going to talk about lifestyles.
Yeah, I do it with my wife. She's packed, so I get it.
Yeah. So not take as long to act. You can never capture that time back.
So it's all about taking action.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay, can we open up for some questions?
Sure.
Oh, look at that. The hands are up now. We'll start with you, sir.
In an earlier slide, you had a 5% cap rate equals what you projected current value. How did you arrive at the 5% cap?
So the question was, how did you arrive at a 5% cap rate to project current value?
That's a great question. So that has been such a moving target. A year ago, it was like we sold 3 of our deals 2 years ago for a 2.75 cap rate. And that was like the broker said, they've never seen a deal in Dallas-Fort Worth sell for that low, which means the value was a whole lot higher. The cap rates have really been moving though. So we bought this and thought, okay, it's probably going to settle out for this age of product in this market at about 5. But I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know if it's going to be 5, if it's going to be 5.5 by the time we sell. I don't know. We feel like 5 is a good conservative number right now based on what we've talked to in the brokerage community. But even they'll tell you they scratch their head a little bit right now. It's like 5, 5.25. So that was a little bit of a read the crystal ball at the moment and try to come up with the value.
And I know the new folks, really quick, do not know what a capitalization rate is. I will teach you what that is this weekend. Right now it's Greek, I understand that, but I'll explain what that means this weekend.
Is your property a Class A?
The question is your property Class A or is it Class B?
So that's a great question because in my mind, it's 2003. And in my mind, the product
2003, it's more than 10 years old.
So really, it's 20 years old.
Yeah.
I think we need to start being a little bit more honest and say that's an A- at this point.
Yeah.
Brand new construction is an A. The 80 stuff that I've always been buying, if we're honest, that's really probably more of a B to B plus at this point.
Even C.
Yeah.
I'd say 80 C.
I don't know. I just went through the continuing education training and listened to Dell and some vendors talk about that. And I'll be daggum. I didn't realize that you could have a 1964 property and it'd be considered a Class A
Well, that's true.
It really comes down to this big number, guys. Here's why.
because the
Okay.
rent.
Rents per square foot.
Right.
That's the business model itself. And I know I don't want to get into
So
that.
that's
a
if
good
you're
point.
if you're renting for what the new build, the
Right.
new construction is, you are a Class A.
Yeah, that's a good
Because you
point.
can
it
be,
doesn't-
remember, it's area.
They've taken away
Amenities,
from
all that's a fact.
the time.
Age,
the
so.
time frame has been taken away.
I know that just confused the new people. Don't worry about that. I'll explain that Sunday.
That property looks like a brand new property when you went out and looked.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll do you and then you. Okay. You first.
Two things. One, did you keep a lot of the original staff on when they left Portland? And then you mentioned about the online presence. What are you doing to kind of market? You have a lot of marketing things you have to do from an online presence, changing the name or anything like that?
So let me reposition this for the people online. First question was, did you keep the old staff from Portland or do you put in new people? The second one was, how did you do your marketing or repositioning? Could you cover that as well?
So we would have loved to have kept the Cortland staff. Cortland is one of the best management companies I've run across. Their culture is fantastic. Their employees love working for them. We really tried to entice them to stay. They wanted to stay with Cortland and go on to other properties. Fortunately for us, we have the same reputation with our team, so we were able to bring a property we had just sold 3 months before in Bedford. We went back to them, even though they were working for who we sold it to. And we said, "Hey guys, would you be interested?" The whole staff,
Stole 'em.
the whole staff came with us.
Yeah.
You know, we took their money at the sale, and then we took the employees back. So, as far as the marketing aspect, it's all, in my opinion, it's about online rating reviews. You've got to have good customer service. You've got to take care of your employees. And if you're doing those things, you're going to get better reviews. We encourage our residents. It's like, hey, if you really are happy with us, please give us a good review. So to me, that's critical because now people go and look immediately and look at your rating and move on to the next property if you don't have a good online rating.
And you notice you'll hear this a lot out of Lifestyles lead investors. Customer service is key. It's about retention. You really have to have good customer service. You know, whether it's your maintenance staff or whatever, your operations, it's very important. It's one thing to get the keys. You got a good deal. How to run it the day to day is the most important aspect of it. So, in my eyes. Him first, then you.
Hi, Robert. So, out of curiosity, with the benefit of hindsight along your journey, would you still have been lead or do you prefer independent owner?
So hindsight, you know, because you have all the experience, would you prefer lead or IRO buying your own apartment community? If you could go back.
And then the third part of that you didn't ask was, or be a passive.
Yeah. that is
So
true. Or be
what
a
happened
passive.
for me last year is we sold 5 of our deals, and I had a massive capital gains tax about to happen. So it's like, oh crud, I didn't want to be buying deals myself. I couldn't find anything I liked. So I ended up investing in 11 other deals with Lifestyles members. So I suddenly became more of a passive than I ever thought I would be. And I went, you know, this doesn't suck.
I know.
So
I'm that way too. I'm always did my own stuff, and then I put $1 million in passively, and I'm like, wow, I don't have to do anything. It's hard.
Yeah. So that is one thing. So I early on wanted to be an IRO for the very reason that was mentioned. It's like I have no investors to answer to. You know, I can keep all the money, all that. So Now I'm like, it's a lot less work being a passive. So I don't know. In the last, I'd say, year, my mindset, I've started going, maybe I want to be a passive. So I don't know.
No, Robert, just keep doing both.
They're like, no, you want to keep working because they're
Yeah,
invested.
I had a guy come in and I had a meeting with, and he said, although he's very wealthy, had a lot of capital to deploy, he said, I will personally never, ever be an IRO because I know myself. I'll get lazy and I won't do it the right way, so I need partners to keep me in line.
Accountable,
So
yeah.
that's another way to look at it.
Yeah.
All right. The lady sitting next to the Australian guy. We'll let you.
Oh, Australia.
I'm just having fun. I see y'all out there.
So, farmer tenant, which one makes you the most money? Real estate or your hay farm?
Or your what? Hay farm. Oh, what makes you more money? Your real estate or your hay farm?
The real estate. Yeah.
That's funny.
The hay farm is to get the ag exemption, as Don mentioned.
For
So
right on.
my property taxes are a third of what they were when we lived in Dallas, and we have, like I said, 17 acres now. So I'm like, pretty good trade-off. But yeah, real estate's where the money is at.
Let me get one or two online. Carl?
How often do you figure you need to do parking lot repairs? And then do you charge extra for private parking or dog pet rental?
So the parking lot, one of the things, again, being a newer property, it's concrete parking lots, which is much better than asphalt parking lots. We had some areas in there because of just settling in DFW that we went in immediately and patched, but for the most part, I mean, I don't think we'll have to do, every year we'll have to do some, but it's not a major concern at all. Parking, there's garages that are extra. Every apartment, I'm sorry, comes with a carport, but we upcharge for that. So we upcharge for trash pickup, a whole bunch of stuff. And then, what was the question about dog friendly?
About dogs, I guess, pet fees or whatever.
We do have pet
dog
fees. We charge extra for Aggies. John, I'm just picking on you tonight. I don't know.
Okay, some of the higher end properties, which yours is, they do DNA testing on the dog's poop.
We had not
So they
done
know
that.
which dog it is in the dog park and fine them $300. Do you do that?
We do not do
Well,
that.
there's a cheap way of doing it. It's a lick test. You can never mind. You gotta have fun, guys.
It was like a Cheech and Chong movie there. Something.
We're deteriorating now.
Hey, because you guys are getting into the minutia, guys. One last question. Go ahead.
Question. You're competing against A properties. What did you have to do? Did you have to upgrade certain of your properties to compete against them, or was it all by service?
Okay, question was for the people online, you're competing against Class A, which are brand new builds, to keep it simple, you know, and they're in your same marketplace. How did you compete with them? Was it all about your customer service, or did you have to add something to win them over?
So on our 80s product, everybody else was coming in and doing granite countertops and all of this kind of stuff on their deals. The deals we were buying, they said, here's the rents, and then here's, if we upgrade the units, here's the rents with granite countertops and all that. We immediately went in and said, well, those granite countertop rents are our rents. I'd never put in one single granite countertop in my entire portfolio. We won it on customer service, good staff that was enthusiastic and believed in the product. And we're doing the same thing on the 2003 new deal, is that people come in, they know we care, and we compete because of customer service. Our deals look, as you saw in the pictures, every bit as good as a brand new deal. And as Don mentioned, our landscape is lush with this beautiful creek that runs right through the deal with this beautiful bridge. You can't beat the setting.
I mean, think of this from a logical as a renter. You look at the reviews of the brand new Class A, and it says, my AC's been out for a week, they haven't gotten to it, you know, they're never cutting the lawn. That's customer service, but his is good review saying, hey, they fixed it right away, I love it, I can't wait to renew. Very different. So customer service wins.
And that's true for even single family.
Yeah, everything. Best product, best price. That's what we teach.
Yeah.
Yep. Service by the
If
best
something's
people.
broken and you're the renter, don't you want it fixed?
Yep.
I don't care if it's a house, apartment, whatever. That's
Okay.
like the number one amenity I've always teach my staff.
Here's the last one of the evening. Go for it.
So how did lifestyle help you get this deal?
The question was, how do lifestyles help you get this deal, with this deal, whatnot?
That's a great question. So because of the relationships I built up in the brokerage community with the kind of, I'm going to call the big dog broker guys, the heavy hitters, and the brokers here at Lifestyles, that we have what's called a tagging process where you have to put your name in and say, I'm interested in this deal. I have brokers now bringing deals to me saying, hey, would you be interested in looking at this deal? So I couldn't have done that on my own because it would have been like, who is Robert Tinning? There's big guys, big companies out there buying deals, but it's because of the relationships I've made in Lifestyles with all these contractors, brokers, et cetera, that I've been able to do that.
And I'll explain that to you because I can tell you're new, right? Let's say our different mentors. One of our guys is named Curtis Haynes. Okay, this guy has 26,000 units of property, over $2 billion his portfolio, okay? He's one of our mentors. You're a brand new guy, you're buying an apartment for the first time, and there's all the competitors around you. And then you have, Terry with you. Terry is our operations consultant, and she has over 30 years experience in the industry, how to run them every step of the way. When you have those two people next to you and you're talking to a broker, you have all that credibility, and Lifestyle's winning all these awards you see around you. What's your level of credibility compared to the competitor that has none of that? You see how you get the deal first? And that's kind of what he's talking about, dumbing it down if you're new, okay? All right. Anything else, guys? Any final words of advice?
Don't procrastinate.
There you go.
Start yesterday.
Yeah.
There you go. Yep. All right. Are we going anywhere tonight? I didn't ask.
Fuzzy taco.
Fuzzy taco. Okay. I'm going to cover a couple things, but let's give these guys a hand really quick. I'm going to cover the memberships real quick with y'all.